Are you ready for silver's price to explode past $50 an ounce? Well, if you answered in the affirmative, I'm right there with you. But that may not necessarily be what's going to happen. In fact, the best argument in the case for exploding silver's price is actually also the best argument for it crashing down. I'll explain why in this video as we explore. As silver stackers, especially seasoned silver stackers, we often must look at all the different possibilities. I am bullish on silver. I remain so. It's important for me to tell you that because what I'm about to tell you, it may not sound like a bullish case. Indeed, because I do like to look at the other side. I like to be contrarian in my analysis. Either way, we should be realistic. And by the way, I want to say that for my year-end price predictions that I've been doing for about 5 years now, I have been wrong about half of that time. And it's always because I overshot where I thought the price of silver was going to be. But in the last 2 years, and in the interim, because I have revised my predictions once they were met, well, the silver price has gone up, and I've exceeded it, and it's been exceeded, and the question now is, where is it going to stop? Yes, we've been seeing some pullbacks, but right now we are riding high on silver's price, trading above $41 an ounce in the ask price as I record this video. So what is this all about? What is this best argument, this best case scenario that we're seeing for silver? Well, it has to do with technical analysis, and I'm going to really simplify it for you. But before we get into that, I'm going to remind you of channel sponsor Summit Metals. Now, not only do they sell gold and silver and platinum, they also will buy it back from you as well at competitive prices. If you mention my name, Salivate Metal, you would get more than what is listed on their website for their buyback prices. So check them out and reach out to them to ask about that if you are in the market to sell. In fact, some people feel that it may go down from here, hence why they're selling. I don't think anybody would sell unless they thought it was going to continue to go up. Although there are some that sell because they need the money or they want to take some profits and hold on to some part of their stack. There's different reasons for selling. I generally discourage it for the most part. In fact, literally for that, the most part. I believe in having some cash on hand so that you don't have to sell your silver. Yes, indeed. Any of it, because this is a good insurance policy so that you don't have to liquidate the ultimate insurance policy, and that is silver and gold as well by extension. But nonetheless, so what is the biggest argument that is used for the bullish case for silver right now? It is the cup and handle chart. That's right. If you look at a 40-year cup and handle, you will see indeed that it has gone up and spiked up above that $40 mark. And people were saying, in fact, there's somebody over on the X platform who says this and showed that cup and handle. And they say that straight to $50 without any major pullbacks. But then you look, and the last 2 times that happened before this one, because this is the first time in the history of silver's price that we've seen it climb above $40 an ounce. Only the 3rd time, that's right. So we're in a historic area now with silver. And each of the last 2 times, everybody was saying, and by the way, I thought as well during the course of this channel, when the last time it happened, that this time was different. And of course, anytime someone says this time is different, they're essentially, I guess, kind of dismissing history. Because the last 2 times, when they said there was going to be no pullback, there was a pullback, a fairly dramatic one. Why? Because those 2 times in 1980 and 2011 were, for all intents and purposes, anomalies, and really should be erased from the equation as to the actual natural movement of the spot price of silver. But there's other factors, too, that we see with regards to what's going on with silver's price, with those big spikes, is especially in 2011, we never got back down to where the price was before that major run-up in price. And there's been many cup and handle patterns in the chart action that we've seen over the years. And but what happens after that handle? It goes back down. So let's talk about the cup and handle. And I'm going to oversimplify this because I think really when I think about it, it's like, why are they using this analogy to the cup? Because cups come in different shapes and sizes. This cup has no handle. But there you go. You can take it and you can use it. Of course, some people might call it like a chalice or whatever. And yes, this is a sterling silver cup. And there's other cups that are made of plastic and they have no handle and they got a bottom. That's one thing for sure. Cups always have bottoms, but that bottom may look a little different. This one here is a used one here, but you can see the bottom here has a top to it. So that's kind of intriguing and interesting in and of itself. And if you look through the course of silver's price action over those years, the bottom has been a little bit rough and rocky. And we've seen that through the 90s and into the 2000s, it was very flat. Silver traded very flat. And then after the run-up in 2011 and leading up to it, really starting about 2006, silver was pretty volatile. And it spiked up and went back down. And so the overall pattern, looking at it, people think, well, we've reached the end of the cup and handle. It's got no choice but to continue to go up, right? And why? And this time is different. But in reality, using that phraseology, now we necessarily can't dismiss it. Because what is propping up silver's price are two things. Number one, central banks buying gold. That's right. Silver's still following gold, even though the ratio is unusually high. And so that is one of the things that's affecting silver's price, and it's going to probably bolster it or keep it up as long as central banks continue to hold on to that gold. But there's another thing that's moving silver's price up, and that is the unmistakable increased demand for the metal. We're in the fifth year of either a deficit or very close to it. So close that it is having an impact all around, and now the United States is actually has submitted as a draft that silver is a critical element. If that does happen, that means that it is essentially solidifying this idea that silver supply chains are broken and it's needed. And so that is really what makes that a mark. And so they're going to look at this. It's going to be a public comment period, and we'll find out if that's the case. But notwithstanding, just because it spikes up does not mean that it can't pull back. So let's get to the cup and handle. This is a cup with a handle. Now, handles have different shapes as well, but for the most part, what is unusual about this is that you got a bottom here, and this bottom happens to be a little bit concave and convex on that side, but you can see the bottom is much lower, and during that time, as this is the top, this $50 before, $50 down, and then up, and then here, this top apex of the handle is higher than the top of the cup, which means it could go up, but not a whole lot more. In fact, I don't know of any cups that have handles that spike up above and beyond the rim of the cup. If so, it'd be very awkward to hold that. Almost that would be like a ladle. Essentially that handle would be like a ladle. So could we see a ladle pattern form? Yeah, I guess that's possible. But you think about it, what does a handle do? It comes back down and in itself and connects to the bottom of the cup. I think some of these people don't think about when they use their analogies about what that could happen. So if you use that analogy, that means that silver's got to crash right back down to the bottom again. Talk about a crushing blow. Indeed, that would be the case. But you know what? A cup is still a cup. And if you have a cup made of sterling silver, you're doing pretty good. And so I don't know that analogy, I never have fully understood that analogy. Maybe somebody can explain it further, but and there are some cups that have the bottom of it curl back up again as a design element, and that could be the case. We could see a cup and handle pattern where it curls up at the bottom again, and maybe they're thinking it'll bottom out and then it'll swing back up again. But of course, as is the case too, the bottom, it never goes fully to the bottom. And I've never seen a cup where the bottom of the handle extends below the bottom of the cup. So that's a good thing. That means there is some support there. There is some support for silver. And again, that's a grossly simplified analogy, but when you're looking at a chart, it does kind of make sense to hear that handle, because it almost sounds like that handle is almost reversed. It's upside down. So I've never fully, completely understood how that's playing out there. But nonetheless, pattern analysis with technical analysis is something that I think is important to understand, looking at how it has moved in the past, wedge patterns and the like, moving averages and all that. I think it's important to look to use that as a guide of an historic analysis of where silver has gone in the past. But also look at the things behind that moves the prices from day to day, month to month, and even year to year. And those are the most important things when looking at what's going to move the price of silver. Because in the end, none of us know where silver's price is going to go. And there's a lot of people saying there's no pullback coming. But the last 2 times it's reached this level, we did see a pullback. And I'm also not discounting the possibility that we could see it climb above $50 an ounce. In fact, honestly, there's more an argument and a case for over $50 silver now than ever before in history. And by the way, it would not be all that shocking if in the next several months into next year we saw $50 an ounce. I'm not saying it's going to go there, but it would not surprise me. Why? Because when adjusted for inflation, silver still has a long way to go to reach its all-time highs. Because remember, the last 2 times we reached right around $50 an ounce, they were anomalies. And in this case, it's being bolstered up by gold, but also natural market forces are playing a much larger role this time, I think, than they were the previous times. They were unnatural market forces that occurred during those times. And by the way, what is a natural market anyway? Because everything is based off of psychology, and there's a lot happening in 2024 and 25 that has led to silver's price increasing. And of course, just the overall demand, and we have good economic conditions and great economic data that come in that support the idea for high GDP and great demand for items and products and services that utilize silver. That's going to be good for silver's price too. But I think there's a lot that is good for silver's price, including things that are recession resistant. And there's more of those activities and things that are occurring right now in artificial intelligence, green energy applications, all sorts of different things that are recession resistant. In other words, things that governments and entities are going to do really kind of no matter what to a large extent. There are some exceptions there, but just think about that. The cup and handle and what that is saying, and how bullish we are for silver. The idea that this is immune from a pullback, I think, is a misnomer and a mistake to think that. Even now, even before it gets to $50 an ounce, it could pull right back under that area again, and we could very easily see $35, $36 silver again. There's a lot of psychology. The silver market is fickle, and there's so many different things that are going on behind the scenes with regards to just the trading of gold or silver and platforms and how complex that is. I could very much easily see it move back in that area, but that is still much higher than where it had been just a few years ago. So I think we got to declare victory is defined in different ways. And I think if we see a higher floor for silver, in other words, higher support for it, then we can still declare victory, much as was the case after 2011 when we didn't see silver fall much below $15 an ounce at the bottom for the most of the last decade. And that is very, very good, I think. Very, very good for silver over the course of the last couple of decades here. So let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section down below. Hope you found this video informative, insightful, and educational. Would like to extend a multitude of gratitude to each and every one of you for taking the time to watch, and encourage you to please rate, share, comment, and subscribe.